Speaking of moments, you've been, as you mentioned, your career with the Fever. First six, though, were tough, obviously. They weren't as easy. You guys have made the playoffs the last two. What's been the big turnaround? How have you viewed the way the team has grown organically?
Kelsey Mitchell has finally spoken out. After months of giving safe answers in interviews, repeating polished press lines, and letting media insiders push their own stories, the veteran leader of the Indiana Fever gave fans what they've been waiting for, something real. She didn't just respond to a question. She dropped a truth bomb that has the WNBA buzzing, trying to figure out exactly what it means. Every word mattered. Every tone had purpose. In that moment, Mitchell showed that leadership isn't always about being loud. It's about standing firm. What she said wasn't just talk. It was a statement that could change how people see Caitlin Clark, the Fever, and the WNBA as a whole.
And then you bring in Caitlin, who changed the world, changed the dynamic of basketball. And as a friend and as a player, you grow to appreciate her because, certain doors have opened because she's come to the Fever, and you have to respect that. And I love the teammate and person in her because she's accepted it with so much grace and even welcomed us with open arms to, make this thing happen. So I think it just took a lot of big pieces to make, what it.
The big question now is this. Was Mitchell just showing admiration? Was it the start of a professional rivalry? Or was it something much bigger? A bold, honest, and refreshingly real take on her teammate that raised the bar for authenticity in pro sports? That's what fans are debating right now. But before we break down her words, let's step back and ask something larger. Has Caitlin Clark not only changed women's basketball, but also shifted how the entire world views the sport? Are we watching one of the most important turning points in modern sports history? Could Caitlin be the real game changer? Share your thoughts in the comments below.
You've changed the world in so many ways. You've done it with so much grace. And I'm so happy to take the floor with you, to be a part of this experience. I want to tell you to give yourself some grace, kid. You've done a lot of things that not a lot of people can do. And from me to you, I'm always going to be a fan. I'm always going to be in your corner. I'm always going to be in your backcourt.
That's the weight of the question. And Mitchell's comments have put it front and center. This is why her voice matters so much. Because let's be honest, whenever someone brings up the Indiana Fever, you already know what's coming. The Caitlin Clark question. It's as predictable as the sunrise. Doesn't matter if a player is breaking down defense, talking about their pre-game routine, or even the weather. Sooner or later, it circles back to Clark. That's the orbit Indiana basketball lives in now. And this time, the one answering wasn't just any role player. It was Kelsey Mitchell.
But, you've been with Indiana through the thick and thin. You've been with them since, we was talking, we about to go get our rhythm on Indiana. You've been there, you stuck through until now being in the semifinals. What does that feel like? And for people watching, girls, boys, if they athletes, not athletes, what does it feel like to stick through something and now see it come into full fold?
And that means more than most people realize. Mitchell isn't just another player on the roster. She's the franchise's survivor. For years, she was the lone spark in the dark, carrying Indiana through seasons so rough they were almost unwatchable. This is the same Mitchell who played on a team that won only 5 games in a whole season. The same Mitchell who went through coach after coach while opponents treated the Fever like an easy night, a chance to boost stats and rest their stars. She was the one left to absorb the losses, give polite answers to the media, and pretend there was hope after another 20-point blowout. That was her reality. She wasn't just playing basketball. She was pushing a boulder uphill every single night.
You guys have made the playoffs the last two. What's been the big turnaround? How have you viewed the way the team has grown organically?
Oh, man, I think a big shout out to the organization taking time to rebuild. I think our draft picks ended up coming big. Lexi Hall was a big draft pick, and then you get Kaylin, and then you get AB. And so you culminate that together with, my experience and having to, go through a couple things before they got there. I think it was just like a match made in heaven, really, because I was, still at a young age to really, vibe and get to know these players for who they were. And then you bring in Kaylin, who changed the world, changed the dynamic of basketball. And as a friend and as a player, you grow to appreciate her because, certain doors have opened because she's come to the Fever, and you have to respect that.
So when Mitchell finally spoke about Caitlin Clark, you knew it wasn't just lip service. This wasn't some empty, she's great, she helps the team kind of quote. Mitchell doesn't do scripted PR talk. What she gave us was real, raw, honest, and shaped by years of surviving in the league's basement. And the impact? She confirmed what everyone sees but few have dared to say out loud. Caitlin Clark hasn't just changed the Fever, she's reshaped the entire basketball landscape. Mitchell's words landed like an earthquake. Clark has changed the world, changed the dynamic of basketball itself. Think about that. That's not a casual compliment. That's a seismic admission from the one player who had every reason to be resentful. The cornerstone of the Fever, the one who endured the losing seasons, the coaching chaos, and the irrelevance, looked straight into the camera and essentially said, "Without Caitlin, none of this happens. The sellouts, the primetime games, the global spotlight, all of it."
Now, you were an MVP finalist this year with our own Chiney Ogwumike even saying that you had the best season of any guard this year in the league. What has it been like to get that kind of recognition and get your flowers?
Oh, I appreciate it. I've been to a lot throughout the course of my career with the Indiana Fever. It's been like my longest, ever. So it's for me, it's a humbling experience to kind of see myself make waves from where it started to where it is now, and just kind of respect the game, lean on the game as far as creating bonds and friendships. And now you get to see us do that now, a couple years later.
What makes this moment even more powerful is the complete absence of jealousy. No bitterness in her voice, no passive-aggressive digs, no trace of resentment, and just pure respect. That's what makes Kelsey Mitchell's words so rare and refreshing. And importantly, she didn't shrink in the process. This wasn't surrender. This was balance. She reminded everyone, subtly but firmly, that before Caitlin Clark arrived, she was the one carrying this franchise. She was the one grinding through the darkest years, laying the foundation so Clark had a platform to shine on. That's an undeniable truth. Mitchell is the reason the Fever didn't vanish into total irrelevance. While the league overlooked Indiana and other players padded their stats against them, Mitchell was the engine keeping the franchise alive. She wasn't just keeping the lights on, she was the generator powering the whole building. And now in 2025, her loyalty is paying off. Not just in numbers, but in legacy. Mitchell didn't simply acknowledge Clark's impact. She elevated it, while at the same time reaffirming her own. That's the brilliance of her statement. It wasn't about choosing sides. It was about proving that real leadership doesn't fear competition. It embraces it. That's why fans are still talking about what she said. Not because it was flashy or dramatic, but because it was real. In a league where jealousy, shade, and petty rivalries too often dominate the headlines, with veterans taking digs and throwing shots, Mitchell flipped the script. She showed that respect and truth can coexist, that you can celebrate a generational star like Caitlin Clark while still standing tall in your own legacy. And in doing so, she gave the WNBA the authenticity it desperately needs.
Oh man, it's an unbelievable experience. It's a moment that I don't want to, take for granted. I want to cherish it as much as I possibly can. Like I said, I want to use this moment to as a moment to not grow. And so hopefully the mental preparation that I've been through and the things I've been through can kind of help me get through these moments. And then just, loving basketball for what it is and just, loving the game and having fun with it.
Kelsey Mitchell's perspective can't be understood without looking back at the Fever's journey. When Lexi Hull joined the team, Indiana was still the league's punchline. Wins were rare, losses were expected, and the franchise lived on the edge of irrelevance. Mitchell was the one smiling through press conferences, answering questions about building blocks while the team barely scraped together 5 wins in a season. She carried the weight, dressing up disappointment as optimism. Then came Aaliyah Boston, a dominant post presence who finally gave Indiana a real foundation. Her arrival felt like planting a flag in the middle of a wasteland. And then came Caitlin Clark, a supernova who didn't just change basketball, but pulled the entire sports media universe into her orbit. Overnight, the Fever went from afterthought to headline news. Through it all, Mitchell never sulked, never complained, never demanded a trade. She embraced the reinforcements, recognizing this wasn't a threat. It was the change she had been waiting for. That's why her words about Clark matter so much. Mitchell has lived both versions of this franchise, and she knows exactly which one sells tickets and shifts culture.
I love the teammate and person in her because she's accepted it with so much grace and even welcomed us with open arms to, make this thing happen. So I think it just took a lot of big pieces to make, what it is now.
What has it been like? Because certainly the world has been focused on her. But what has it been like as a teammate? Because sometimes people are stepping to her, but I feel like you guys are stepping right back in those situations.
I think it's just it's competitive nature, man. You know how it goes. It's just competitive nature. I think that we want to fight to, love on our team and be who we are and respect the game at the same time. So I think it's a lot of just competitive nature at the end of the day.
But Mitchell's words went beyond simple professional respect. They carried something deeper, something personal. She didn't just call Caitlin Clark a teammate. She called her a friend. And that one word matters more than most outsiders realize. In pro sports, where egos and rivalries often poison chemistry, friend is not a throwaway label. It's a sign that Clark's arrival hasn't just fit, it's healed. Mitchell made it clear. Clark didn't come in just to be the star. She came to build an environment where everyone could thrive in her orbit. That distinction is critical. We've seen so-called super teams in other leagues collapse under the weight of their own hype. Too many stars, too much ego, not enough cohesion. Clark has avoided that trap entirely. She doesn't demand the spotlight for herself. She acts like the sun, radiating light so that everyone else shines brighter. And Mitchell is living proof of that. Since Clark's arrival, her own profile has soared. She's playing the most efficient basketball of her career, delivering in clutch playoff moments, and finally getting the recognition she always deserved but rarely received. Without Clark, Mitchell might have stayed one of the WNBA's best-kept secrets. With her, the nation is paying attention. And Mitchell doesn't just accept that dynamic, she respects it.
Prior to game one, I saw Caitlin posted she was fined $200 by the league for stepping on the court. So was there like a locker room pool for her there, or did she take care of that herself?
Man. I'm pretty sure somebody took care of it for her. I love it because as much people don't know this about Caitlin, but she has an unbelievable funny sense of humor. And so I think the tweet was the tweet, but you just have to know CC to know that it's just nothing but love coming from that kid, and her energy and her effort to just kind of support our team is just her way of doing it.
One story Mitchell shared captures this bond perfectly. Caitlin Clark's infamous fine tweet. After joking on social media about being fined, Clark's lighthearted jab sent pundits into a frenzy. Critics twisted it into arrogance, immaturity, even classlessness. But inside the Fever locker room, it was comedy gold. Players laughed, loved it, and Mitchell explained it showed a side of Clark the public rarely gets to see, her humor. That moment drew a sharp line between perception and reality. Outsiders saw controversy. Teammates saw character. Mitchell's takeaway was simple. Relax. That's just Caitlin being Caitlin. And that's the mark of a healthy locker room. If resentment were brewing, that tweet could have sparked drama. Instead, it became another example of team chemistry thriving under Clark's presence. Which leads to the most intimidating reality for the rest of the league, the Fever's emerging Fab Four. Mitchell, Clark, Boston, and Hull. Together, they're not just a playoff team, they're the blueprint for a dynasty. And Mitchell made her stance clear. She'd even take a pay cut to keep this core together. In today's sports world, where chasing the biggest contract is the norm, that kind of loyalty is almost revolutionary. It shows Mitchell sees the bigger picture. Indiana has something historic in the making, and she's willing to sacrifice to keep it alive. Because she knows the truth. The Fever are no longer the league's doormat. They're the storm rolling through it. With Clark's star power, Boston's dominance in the paint, Hull's grit, and Mitchell's lethal scoring, Indiana has built a foundation fueled by both talent and chemistry. And what they're building isn't just about this year's playoff run. It's about rewriting the WNBA's hierarchy and turning Indiana from a punchline into a powerhouse.
And look, you guys have been plagued with injuries, including to Caitlin,
Yeah.
but you have the best sideline in the league, I feel like, right now. What does it mean to get that support during the postseason from the crew?
Oh, man, it's unbelievable. And I think the best part about it is that we have vet experience when it comes to Sydney Colson, and she's a winner and she's a champion. And then you have people like Caitlin, who's a PG and can pass the ball. And so when I come on the sideline, I get feedback from some of the best players in the league. And so I don't take those moments for granted either, because I feel like it's a chance to see the game in a different route, and I get to, get to talk to them from a level of just them having confidence in me to make plays. So I love it. It's a good experience to have.
And yes, cynics might laugh at the idea that friendship could be the engine of a championship team, but the results speak for themselves. Mitchell believes in it. Clark fuels it. Boston anchors it. Hull embodies it. Together, they've taken a franchise once defined by losing and turned it into must-see TV. The Fever aren't chasing respect anymore. They're demanding it, and earning it every single night. So Mitchell's words weren't just casual praise. They were a manifesto. She made it clear. Caitlin Clark has fundamentally changed the trajectory of women's basketball, and Kelsey Mitchell is all in on being part of that revolution. No jealousy, no bitterness about the spotlight shifting. Instead, gratitude, motivation, and a true partnership. That's rare in sports, and it's exactly why Indiana feels different right now. Meanwhile, while Commissioner Kathy Engelbert and veterans like Aja Wilson or Cheryl Swoops waste energy downplaying Clark's impact or stirring resentment, Indiana is building something real, something sustainable, something fans can rally behind not just for a season, but for a generation. Mitchell has declared her loyalty, not to the old guard, but to the future, to Caitlin Clark, and to a Fever squad ready to dominate. The bottom line? Kelsey Mitchell didn't just endorse Clark. She embraced her, validated her, and vowed to build with her. That's more than respect. That's an alliance. And in doing so, she sent a challenge to the rest of the league. Either recognize what's happening in Indiana or get left behind watching the Fever rewrite history. Because if Mitchell, Clark, Boston, and Hull stay united, the WNBA doesn't just have another contender. It has a problem, a dynasty in the making, a warning shot fired directly at the league's old power structure. So what do you think about Mitchell and Caitlin's friendship? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss a video. Click the one on your screen now, and we'll see you in the next one.